Hi YouTube, it's Jeannie with VSG in Norway, and today I have my update video for my questions for my surgeon. I don't have all of the answers, but I have a lot, so I will tell you what I can. I went to my information meeting yesterday. It's still running, bouncing around in my head, everything that happened. I will try to make sure that I get everything into this video. But I got a lot of answers. It was a very exciting day. I woke up at 5:30. I was at the bus stop by 6, and I was at the hospital by 10. I had to take a bus to a boat to a bus. Yay, Norway! I got to the hospital about 8:30, and my meeting was at 10. And there were some other people sitting around waiting to go into the meeting, and one of them actually comes from she lives like a street away from me. So that was pretty exciting that we were in the same group. And the surgeon came in first, and he explained 4 weight loss surgeries. He talked about the band and the duodenal switch. He talked about R&Y bypass and the sleeve. Now the first two are not done at the hospital where I applied. He said basically the band doesn't work and there are lots of complications. He said for duodenal switch it works, but sometimes it works too well, and then people need follow up their entire lives to make sure that they're getting enough food and nutrition. And so it wasn't. He didn't think it was a good solution. So, and of the R&Y bypass and the sleeve, he was very negative to the sleeve. He said lots of things that seemed like he was really suggesting that no one get the sleeve. So I'll tell a little bit about what he said. He explained obviously that that the bypass is both restrictive and malabsorptive. So when you get the bypass, you need to take vitamins for the rest of your life, and but the bypass has a long history. They've been doing it for a long time. They've got lots of long-term information on the people who, have done it 5 years ago or longer. And for the bypass, I feel like maybe he said that 85% of the people kept the weight off with the bypass. I feel like that's what he might have said in some study he watched or he saw. And then he said with the sleeve, it was very interesting. He said, obviously, with the bypass, there is the risk of there's a risk of a leak, and there's a risk of the leak in like 3 different places because they're moving all kinds of things around inside you. And he said that the risk of the leak obviously has gone down because stapling machines are better, all these things are better. So I feel like he said maybe the risk of the leak was about 0.05% risk or something like that. I feel like that's right. So it was still a very small risk, but there was a risk. But then when he talked about the sleeve, he actually said there was a higher risk of a leak with the sleeve. He said it's about 0.1%, so about twice as likely to have a leak with the sleeve than with the bypass, and that the leak with the sleeve would happen later. You would be home. It would happen maybe 6, 7, 8 days out before you really started to notice it, and whereas the leak with the bypass, you would notice it in the first 2 days, and that's when you're still in the hospital. So they'd go right back in, find the leak, and fix it up, and it wouldn't be such a big issue. And his second thing about the sleeve was just that the information he had was that after 5 years, only 40% had kept the weight off. And so I have said this in a comment somewhere, but I don't think I've said it in a video. In Norway, if you apply for this surgery through your general practitioner and are approved, this surgery is free. I don't pay anything for the surgery. I pay for the vitamins and the medicine after. So, and that's probably going to be about $200 for the vitamins and the medicines after. So, obviously, they're going to pick the surgery that they think is going to be most effective, most cost-effective, and is actually going to last. Because if they're paying for me to have this sleeve surgery, and it only works to keep my weight down for 2 years, and then my weight goes right back up again, and I end up with type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure and all of these problems, then that was not a success. So I have a feeling that that's why they're very strongly recommending the people in the room to go for the bypass, because the bypass is just better known, and maybe overall it's more successful because it's harder. It's a tool that is more difficult to ignore, especially with dumping and that sort of thing. So, but for like a little minute, I thought to myself, maybe I should reevaluate. And then throughout the day, I came right back around to where I was, which was no, I'm not interested in taking vitamin shots for the rest of my life. No, I'm not interested in dumping. No, I mean, obviously, I know I can experience some dumping with sleep, but I'm not interested in rearranging my bowels, to be completely honest with the world. So, I'm still back on the sleeve. I'm going to have to talk to him, obviously, and ask a lot of the questions that I have. Yeah, he also said that everyone gets medicine to prevent gallstones automatically. So that was cool. That was an answer to one of my questions. Everyone gets a medicine to reduce stomach acid. That was another question I had. Everyone gets B12 shots. The people who have the bypass will need to take those for the rest of their lives, whereas people with the sleeve will probably be able to get off of them pretty soon after they start eating normally. Everyone gets shots for to prevent blood clots, and everyone needs to wear compression stockings. They don't have these air leg thingies, but they just encourage you to get up really soon after surgery and walk around. They didn't have any sort of a spirometer that you breathe into, but you do have to have a lung x-ray before surgery, or the next time I go to the hospital, I'll talk to the surgeon one-on-one, and I think I'll get a lung x-ray that day, and maybe talk to the dietitian again. Sorry. So, he talked about how the first day you would be in surgery. The second day you would be limited to 3 deciliters of water all day, which I think is about a cup of water. And there were limits to how much you could have per half hour. The second day after surgery, you would have a liter of water, limited in amounts per half hour. And then you would start working up to full liquids and your maximum water intake. And so the first week was liquids. The second and third week would be soft purees or soft foods. I think maybe they all sort of were all in the same group, puree or soft food. And let's see. Was there anything else? Oh yeah. So I'll be weighed the next time that I go in and talk to the surgeon one-on-one. Then I'll be weighed, and that will be the weight that they consider when they look at am I within the weight limits where it's covered by the government. And that is if you have a BMI of 40 or more, then you are covered, or you are at least considered to be eligible. If you have a BMI of 35 or more and a additional illness, diabetes 2, metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, I feel like that might be all the ones he listed. Yeah. So any of those things, and you would be considered. And then what you would do is that we get weighed the next time we go in, and we have to lose 5% of our total body weight by surgery date. If we don't lose 5% of our total body weight by surgery date, our surgery can get postponed. And it's partially to show that we can make a lifestyle change, and it's partially for the, to reduce the fat deposits around the liver. And there's a 3-week pre-op diet. They said 3 to 4. I guess maybe some people need a longer pre-op diet and they'll get special instructions. It was 900 to 1,000 calories of either weight loss drinks, and that's it, or food, or a combination of both. And the food plan that she gave out, because in Norway, there's a lot of focus on bread in Norway. Breakfast is something on bread. Lunch is something on bread. Dinner is meat and potatoes. And there's an evening meal right before, a little bit before bedtime, something on bread. So there was a huge focus on bread in her plan. Obviously, she was not recommending bread. She was recommending, these flatbread things that they have here. But still, I feel like, is that really necessary? I don't think it's necessary. So I think probably in order to just not have to deal with that discussion. I'm just going to go ahead and do shakes when that time comes. However, there is something interesting. They're doing a study at my hospital where they've already done a pre-study where they have tested blood work and a fat biopsy before surgery and blood work and a fat biopsy 1 week after surgery. And so they've been looking at, the metabolic changes that happen in the first week after surgery. But now they need a control group that does the surgery diet, the post-op diet, before they've had the surgery, so that they can compare, okay, what changes happened just because of the diet and what changes happened maybe because of the surgery, also because of the surgery. So I have said that I'm interested in doing that because those people were then prioritized. I feel like if I can get my surgery date 2 weeks earlier because I only have to do a 1 week pre-op, then yes, please. But it sounds like it's going to be pretty rough because it sounds like maybe the first day, the surgery day, maybe you literally don't have anything. You're just fasting all day long. And then day 2, you would have a cup of water. And then day 3, you'd have a liter of water. I mean, that's, but if it makes my surgery happen faster, then I'm in for it. And also, it would be cool, like, they're doing like a fat biopsy of me. Like, you get lots of information about yourself that you wouldn't get otherwise. So I think that sounds like a neat idea. Unfortunately, I have to, if I do that, I have to be down at this hospital, which was, again, 2.5 hours away from home, from 8 to 6 every day for a week, including Saturday. Fun. So, yeah, what else? I feel like that's about everything. There was a psychologist who came in and talked a little bit. That was really helpful. It's, a lot of us are there because we have an inappropriate relationship with food. Either we have eating disorder or we just use food for the wrong things. And so it was really cool to think about that and already start thinking about how we can make slight changes that will make our lives better. And then there was, at the end, there was a man who had a bypass in 2009 who came back and talked a little bit. He showed, the size of his meals and how often he ate and talked about dumping, and he still experiences dumping even after 5 years and that sort of thing. So it was cool. He was still, I would consider him to still be quite big, but he probably was very big when he took the surgery. I'm not sure. He didn't have any sort of before pictures or anything. So, but it was neat to talk to someone who'd done the bypass. I've watched everyone on YouTube. I've watched so many YouTube videos, and I can't see why this sleeve wouldn't work for me. I'm prepared to make it work for me. So yeah, I'm still super excited. I'm so impatient. But yeah, so hopefully right around the corner I will be getting the letter and go back and have the one-on-one with the surgeon and have even more answers for you guys. If you have literally watched this whole video, you're awesome. So thanks, and talk to you guys soon. Bye.